Welcome everybody. Today is May the 3rd, and this is probate role play call number 19. For those of you who are here for the first time, we'll just kind of run through what this call is all about and where you can find the previous calls. So this call today, we do the first Wednesday of each month at 2 p.m. Eastern. The format is different than the mastermind call, so we try to keep everything in the form of a role play, so people can benefit from these calls when they're just getting started prospecting. So if you have questions on marketing or mail or letters or websites or anything like that, that's something that we can handle on the mastermind call, which is Thursdays, every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Once these calls are finished, they'll be posted in our Facebook group, which is All the Leads Mastermind, for those of you who aren't subscribers. If you are a subscriber, they're posted in the subscriber portal. Click on the left conference calls and then conference call archive. And the role play and mastermind calls are in kind of a calendar format like a podcast player. If you have a role play, something that any objections or any language that's working really well for you, anything role play related today, please press *6 and then 1. This is an interactive call, and it's not going to be real exciting if you just have to listen to me talk. So this call is for you guys, but we also rely on you guys. So we've got one person in the queue. Anyone else who knows they have something they want to cover. Last month we had a really good role play with an agent who's really successful, or an ISA who's really successful in Virginia, and she shared a ton of good stuff and what's working for her. So I have had some questions this week from you guys through support about handling objections and different things like that. And I work with folks every day one-on-one on stuff like that. But if you have questions, if you have objections that are stopping you, this is the place to put them on the table, and let's get you comfortable with those. So that's all I've got, guys. I will jump into the queue here. So phone number ending in 9363, you're live.
Yes, hello. My name is Al, and hi. And I want to role play in terms of someone calls us and needs work done on their properties, and how we're going to go about that. And they have questions: who's going to pay for it? Who gets permits? How do I know the work's going to be done? So on and so forth, as one of the services we offer if they do not live locally. All right.
Is this something you've heard? Did you hear this on the phone, or are you just curious?
No, I'm just curious because again, if we have someone out of the area, well, I guess I'll just get started. I'll be the prospect.
You be the homeowner, and
okay.
I'll be the agent. So.
Okay, so I found your number. My mother passed away. I do not live in the state. We want the property listed and sold, but I know there are some repairs that need to be done before we can even go forward or even think about getting a CO when we get that far down the line. So how exactly do you go about, executing these repairs, finding contractors, paying, and all that?
Okay. Well, a lot of questions there, so let me try to cover all your points, and I'll do it one at a time, Al. So you did say that you wanted to sell the home. Now, you say that it needs repairs. Have you had somebody inspect the home and look at it, and do you have a list of repairs, or do you just know that there's just common things wrong with it? What's the scope of the damage, or is it just dated?
It's pretty extensive. It has both a leaky roof, and as far as I know it, the house has been vacant for some time because my mom went into a facility for the last days of her life, and we believe the furnace is no longer working. So I know just from my own experience, if a buyer is going to come in here and expect to get a mortgage, they're going to need a watertight house and a functioning heating system to qualify.
Right. Let me ask, do you know if it was winterized, Al, before the last winter?
No, I don't believe it was. She just left, and the house was, I don't know, there could be burst pipes. I don't know.
Yeah, Yeah, if it wasn't winterized, you probably have several $1,000s worth of plumbing to do as well. So it sounds like the first step is to really get somebody in there to put a set of eyes on it and put a scope of work together so even you understand what it needs. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have contractors that do that, and we use them for big renovation projects. I mean, we've done up to $300,000 worth of construction on homes before. So it's not, it's not going to be outside of the scope of their expertise. What I can do is let me talk with Mike, my contractor, and see when he's available. And how could we arrange to get in the home? Is there a caretaker? Does somebody local have keys?
You know what? I can mail you a key, and it'll be there, I guess, in a day and a half.
Okay, well, that's fair. That gives me time to get on his schedule. So if you can do that, he and I will go over there. I'll have him do his part of looking at the construction. I may actually take a home inspector with me as well, just as kind of a favor. It won't cost you, we won't charge you for a home inspection.
Right.
But we may, we want to look at it both from a safety and construction perspective, but also from a marketing perspective and sales. So you'll have the eyes of a realtor and the eyes of a contractor. Once we've done that, I'll set up a time where we can all three talk and kind of look at what we think it's going to cost. Now, let me ask you this. Is there money in the estate, or is there money that you're willing to contribute to get the repairs done, or is it something you need to carry to closing?
I'm not sure. It depends on the scope of what the bill is. If it's not too much, my sister and I can probably handle it as it happens. If it is extensive and we don't have that money, how would that then change the scenario?
Let me ask you this. What's the square footage?
Oh, I think about 1,800 square feet.
Okay, and what year was it built?
1959.
And the style, is it a ranch or a two-story?
It's a ranch.
Okay. So I would guess that we're going to come in, depending on how bad. Let's just say worst case scenario, if we're not doing a full cosmetic renovation, but we're just getting it to pass inspections. If you have to do HVAC, plumbing, and a roof, we're probably going to be at $30,000 to $40,000.
Right.
Is that too rich for the estate, or do you guys have at least that much?
That might be too rich, and that's my concern with going forward with it.
So if that's the case, it's not something, we're certainly not going to start with this because it's a pretty big ask to have a contractor carry that risk all the way through closing. So we'll once we've looked at the home and we know exactly what it's going to cost, this will be a more meaningful conversation. But the contractor that I use for jobs of this size treats his business like a business, and he always has he has good cash flow and good cash reserves, and that's one of the reasons that we keep such a contractor. So in the event that you can't afford the repairs, what we can do is put a mechanics lien against the property, which is common practice. It costs $23 to record that.
Okay.
And let me ask you this: is there any debt on the home? Is there any other liens or mortgages?
No. My mother really had all her wealth in the property. She really didn't leave us any cash. It is just this real estate that we have.
Okay, well that's great because that makes it that gives the contractor a much more secure position if they're not in a junior lien position. So we can organize it where you sign a contract. We put a mechanics lien against the title. We get the home on the market, we get it sold, and you pay the contractor at settlement. And it's not unreasonable to expect that he might get some interest on top of that, because if we're carrying $50,000 or $60,000 in work, and we're carrying it over 60 to 90 days of construction and marketing time, you may I think it would be fair to pay him for the time that money was not in his business working for him. So, but anyways, yes, so we do have the right people in place. We have done those before, and we do know how to secure both. We know how to mitigate the risk for both you and the contractor, and do the right work to get to find the right buyer. So, I think the first step would be us, getting into the home, like I said. So if you can drop those keys in the mail. Once we've looked at it, I'll get in touch with you and we'll set up a time where the three of us can talk. Now, I haven't asked Al, are you the only decision maker here? Are there are there any co-executors, or who do you feel like should be part of the conversations?
Well, I am the executor, but I am in a touchy spot with my sister, the only other sibling. So we've never had this kind of relationship before, but this is kind of bringing out the worst in all of us.
I understand. We see a lot of strange family dynamics when all this stress is on your shoulders. So, well, if you don't mind my asking, is she on board with selling the home? I mean, you guys are in agreement there?
Yes, she's on board. Yes.
Okay. I think once we meet, what we find is a lot of times once we meet and once she has the opportunity to talk with me and the contractor and kind of hear, that we are professionals and we are going to have a strategy and we're going to mitigate the risk for you guys. Usually people are really relieved and kind of let off the gas and give us, let us take a lot of that off their plate. And that usually kind of rights the relationship if there's any troubles there, any stress in the family. So we may be able to help you out socially too. Hopefully we can.
Okay.
All right. Well, those keys go to 123 Walnut Street, and I'll wait for those. I'll let you know when I get them, and we can get over there. And then, is she in? She's not in town. I take it she's out of state too. Your sister?
Yeah, both of us. Well, not actually far away. We're about 2 hours away, so it's not something we can run back and forth to. But, it's not something that we can't travel to with a little notice or on a weekend.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Would you want to meet in person following our inspection?
Yes, possibly. That could work. Absolutely.
Okay. I would rather do that. This is something that's serious for all of us. It sounds like a large undertaking and definitely something that we've got to do right to get the equity out of the home for you guys, but we also have to make sure that everybody's on board so the contractor is not put in an unfair position. So if possible, I would like to do it in person. That way we all get to know each other, trust each other, and know that we're doing the right things. So if you can talk to your sister, kind of let her know what we discussed and what our broad stroke plan is, that probably sometime midweek next week, we're going to try to get together in person and kind of finalize the strategy, sign the contract, and we'll start work immediately.
Very good. That's great to hear.
Okay. And we'll break.
Now,
I'm going to let you ask me questions. I just rolled with it the same. That's exactly how it would have gone in my office.
Great. And you know what? That was good to hear because the mechanics lien, I know that was an option, but I just wanted to hear how you would go about it, and that was very smooth. Now, from my perspective, how do I go about finding contractors that are willing to do this?
The same way you would look for a unicorn.
Okay.
So it can be hard to find. I got really lucky with the guy that I was referencing in the role play. If you don't have a contractor that you can trust, I mean, a good way if you've got someone in your office who has flipped homes before.
Right.
I'm assuming you haven't, but if there's somebody that has a contractor they use for their renovation projects, that's a good place to start because you get a direct referral, and you can sit down with the contractor and just kind of set that expectation. Hey, situations are going to arise where I'm going to need contractors who can carry invoices. How does that make you feel? Is that a hell no, or is that a yes, we'll do it for a heavy interest rate? And that's why I threw that in there. Like, you don't want to put your contractor in a position where they're tying up $50,000 and really getting nothing for it. You got to show them a benefit. So work into the actual contractors, the contractor's contract, an interest rate into the price, and it needs to be a monthly rate. And I would recommend, I think 10% is very reasonable.
Sure,
because
absolutely.
They're taking a pretty big unnecessary risk that they wouldn't have to on other contracts. So show them the benefit of doing that. If you can't get a direct referral, one of the tricks that has worked really well, get up at 4 in the morning, or get up at 6 in the morning, go to Dunkin' Donuts, buy one of those big office boxes of coffee and a bag of breakfast sandwiches, and park under the portico at Home Depot. And what you're looking for is you're looking for the early riser and the $70,000 pickup truck. Because if somebody's driving a brand new truck with their company logo on it and they're at Home Depot at the crack of dawn, they're probably running a pretty good business. So that's a pretty good filter. At 2 o'clock, you got the guys showing up in a '74 Datsun with, 17 different colors of paint stains on their shirt, and that's probably not your guy. But the guys who are there.
Okay, and one other thing. How does what's a good way to present, does the homeowner, if they do have the money, or the heirs, I should say, the executor and family, if they do have the money, do I basically just oversee and make the introductions and let them deal directly with the contractor from that point on?
Yes. So the reason I said I would go there with the contractor is because from a sales and marketing standpoint, I want to say in how the money's going to be spent. Because there's certain things I know that we can do that will make a house sell quicker. And if we're restricted to a budget, like if we can't do everything, then I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make the house look as good as possible. So obviously we've got to fix the roof and the HVAC are two musts. But I'm also looking for things like a contractor doesn't necessarily know what will blow up an FHA or a VA loan. I do. So I want to be there and I want to say, okay, if you cut through this floor joist and put a strap over it, that won't pass a VA inspection or a VA appraisal. So I want to be able to look at it with a realtor's eye and tell the contractor, add this to your scope of work. It has to be done. But I also want to be able to look at it and say, okay, so rather than putting this level of materials in this room, let's put the level down and move some of that money outside into landscaping, because landscaping is going to get us a higher return than a higher laminate flooring. So if we can take laminate flooring at $1.50 a foot versus $3 a foot, move that money outside and spend $1,000 on landscaping, I guarantee you I'll get a higher return. So that's the only reason I really wanted to be part of it. Because if especially if we have a finite budget, I want to be in charge. I don't want to be in charge. I want to be able to offer sound advice to the homeowner and let them decide based on my logic, is what I'm saying. But after that, after the initial walkthrough with the contractor and once the scope of work is done, I don't even want to see that house. I don't want my phone to ring for the next 30 days or until it's done. I don't want to see it. And that's, fortunately the contractor I have, that's how we do my flips. We spend 20 minutes in the house, we spend 20 minutes at Home Depot, and I don't see the house again until it's finished. If problems come up, there is problems. And that's kind of what I would expect from a contractor partner. It's, if something goes sideways, you should deal with it. It's your business. But if it requires someone to make a decision, call the homeowner.
And again, you're looking to wind up with a nice marketable property at the end of this process.
Yeah, and honestly, like as a real estate agent, one of your biggest goals, if they've got money they're willing to spend, or you've got money on deck that can be repaid from the sale, I mean, your goal is to drive the sales price as high as possible for the family, and you earn a higher commission, but you can really create some value for the estate. I mean, you can spend 30 or 40 and make 150 in return pretty easily. So if you give them good sound advice and good guidance and connect them with the right contractor, you can not only make a few extra $1,000 for yourself, but you're putting tens of thousands of dollars in their pocket.
Good point. Thank you.
Yep. Good question. That was a first. All right, guys. No one else is in the queue. If there's any scenarios that you can think of, that was a unique one. It was kind of fun to play with. Anything that you've heard or you think you might hear, you want to role play, press *6, wait a moment, and then press 1. And we have an empty queue, so somebody step up, guys. It is a role play call. All right. Phone number ending in 4497. You're in the hot seat.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Hi. My last name's Marvy. I went to that course. By the way, I haven't gotten that receipt or that certificate you were supposed to mail out. I haven't gotten that yet. So if you get a chance, email that to me if you get.
Yeah, it should have came. You get a hard copy. It should have been sent last Friday. I'll check on it.
Okay, no worries. Listen, so I went to your class or online, and it was a definitely good beginning. But unfortunately, at the end of it, I realized more that I don't know than at the beginning. So, what's your recommendation for sort of beefing up on the technicalities of the probate process? So, before I start, I kind of have a more in-depth understanding of, is there local courses here? Is it something that you recommend online? Is there anything like that to?
Yep. So let me first say, don't overwhelm yourself. You don't have to be a probate attorney to be a probate expert. The better you understand the nuances, the more flexible you are in conversation. So when you're talking with the executor, it's easier to build credibility and kind of reinforce that you're the right person for the job because you understand what they're going through. For resources, I'll point you back to the recording of session 1 in Probate Mastery, which you got last Monday, probably around 5 o'clock. And in there, I gave you 3 different ways. You can go to Google and just look. Well, the first thing is go to alltheleads.com and look under FAQs, probate FAQs, and there you can see a lot of general information. It's not going to be state or county specific, but it's kind of covers the generalities of it. The next step is Google probate in your county, probate clerk your county, and sometimes, especially in California, you can usually get the entire probate code and literally word for word everything that you could possibly know, if you can stay awake reading that kind of stuff. And the way I did it, I moved here from Hawaii. I went to Starbucks, I bought coffee, and then I went to the county clerk's office, and I sat down with the probate clerk, explained why I was doing this, and said I wanted to provide a higher level of service, and she walked me through from A to Z the entire probate process. A lighter version of that is you can pick up the phone and call, and I've done this with our customers before. I've called courthouses, and usually within 5 to 10 minutes, I'm with the right person who will have that conversation with me and teach me the process. So it's not, don't let it keep you from getting started is the most important takeaway here, because you don't have to know everything to get started. So you don't know what you don't know. Just learn what you can along the way.
Well, some of the important things you mentioned on the study guide or the class was the different sort of subcontractors. For example, the more I thought about it, I was like, wow, this can get complicated. For example, one of the heirs is deceased, but the spouse is still living and no longer able to handle the finance or the day-to-day upkeep of a property. So then one of the services that you mentioned is to find a care facility and moving the person to that care facility, and then there was the secondary process of selling.
Okay, so this is something we can role play. This is a role play call. So okay. I'm going to have you throw that back at me, but you're going to be the personal representative who's in that situation. Listen to what I answer, and listen and pay attention to, for you, listen to what team members I'm talking about. And I'll challenge you like I have many others. If you had $1 million listing on your desk today and it depended on you knowing somebody at a care home, knowing a senior moving company, having a contractor, getting a professional photographer, would you know those people by the end of the day so you could put that listing in MLS?
Yes.
Damn right you would.
Take.
If you had $1 million listing, you would build this out in 2 hours. So it's I see so many people hang up on that because, and especially in mastery. That's why I preface that so heavily. You don't have to do all this today. What I do in mastery is I show you everything you potentially could do, and you need to break that into bite-sized chunks that your business can handle. So we'll role play through this, but what I want you to be thinking is, okay, who would I pull in there, and do I know them? If not, where do I find them before the sun sets today?
Right.
So you call me.
Yeah, I'm the client. Okay. Hello.
Yep.
Hi. I'm Joe Smith. I have a mother who's my father passed away. She's no longer able to take care of the house. We believe it would be the best for her to be in some facility, and we sell the property. Is that something process you can help me with?
For sure. We can help with, certainly with the sale of the home. As I said, you probably noticed in the letter, we are, experts in kind of this transitional state. So we can also help you with things like senior moving services to get her stuff, in storage or over to the long-term care facility. We can help you with long-term care plans. A lot of questions I have, if it's okay, does your mother have a long-term care plan? Is there money there to pay for that care? Or is that dependent, are you relying on the real estate to be sold before she can actually transition?
I think we could cover the costs of the care facility. It's just none of us, my sister and I, none of us are. The house is in California and we're in New York, and we're just not in a position to be there for a long period of time to handle.
But she's not, her long-term care is not dependent on getting approved for Medicare, right?
It is not.
Okay, well, that's good because that gives us a lot more flexibility. We can list the home and sell it at market value, not at what they think what the tax assessment is. So it would really start with us sitting down and talking to. You said that your sister is the other person involved. Is there anybody else you feel like should be part of the conversation?
No, we're the two heirs. Okay.
So what we would want to do is just meet up and sit down and kind of look at the property, the condition, and lay out a plan for you guys to first get your mother into the facility. Do you guys know where she would like to go, or is that something you need our help with as well?
No, we don't really know.
Okay. Well, we have a list of facilities and the people that you need to speak to, and we'll start with that. And I would encourage you, if you want, I can have them reach out to you guys. Who would be the best to have that conversation? Is it you, your sister, or both of you?
Me.
Okay. Me. So I can have those folks reach out to you and kind of give you the highlights and pricing for their facility, and without asking too many questions, I'll let them ask you about your mother's physical condition and how she might benefit from being in one place versus the other. Definitely not the person to make that decision, but I'll put you in touch with the right people so they can give you some options. The next step would be me, you, and your sister meeting, whether that's in person or by phone. I would like to take a look at the property and kind of see if there's any repairs that have to be done in order to sell the property. And then my next question would be, is there any money in your mom's and in your dad's estate or your mom's assets that you would be willing to reinvest if we could show you ways to make a really solid return?
So you're saying we should take out a second and to cover the cost?
Well, is there a first, or is there debt on the home?
There's no debt on the home.
Okay, so you could pull a home equity line if there's not cash in the accounts. But what I'm asking is if we could sell the home for more money, is that a conversation you're interested in?
So you're saying you would help in the rehab of the house to prep it to get it into optimal condition?
Yep. So we could bring our contractors in and get the home into, we could completely renovate it and sell it at the top of the market. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that. That is one of the options that we provide to folks. If you want, we can get it in the best condition, for the least amount of money and sell it And obviously that's going to come at we're not going to get well, depending on the age of the home and the condition. We haven't talked about that yet, but one of the options we have is to fully renovate and sell the home for the most money. And if you're trying to pay for long-term care, that might be in your best interest.
How do we know what the cost of these contractors is compared to whoever else is out there?
Well, I mean, we've vetted the contractors. They're the ones that we use. So when I renovate a home, it's the contractor that I use, and I won't be shy. I'm cheap, so I want quality work and I want it as cheap as possible, right? So I've kind of vetted these folks out. If you want, we can get you more than one bid, so we can have a couple of guys scope it out and give you a bid for the work if that makes you feel more comfortable. Or you can choose your own contractor if you want. It's just finding good contractors is sometimes a crapshoot, and we have a really good track record with ours. So that's who we bring to the table first.
Okay.
So if it's okay with you, I'd like to get a key. Is there a caretaker or a property manager? Actually, I guess your mom's still living there. So is it a sensitive subject? Would she be okay if I came over to take a look at the house, or is this something we need to keep discreet for now?
No, we could make arrangements for you to come by. It's not a problem.
Okay. Well, I've got a spot on Friday at 3. If you could talk to your sister and your mother and see if that works. I'll go by and kind of take a look and see, just the condition of the home, and then we can all set up a time to talk and kind of look at what the options are. I'll give you my best, my suggestions on what I think is your best course of action. In the meantime, you should hear from the people at the long-term care facilities here in town. And then if there's anyone else that you think of that we haven't talked about that I can connect you with, please just give me a call. Pretty much anyone who can help you in this situation, we will know somebody in town. We'll know the best person to know in town that can help you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So I'll break script there.
Okay. Yeah.
In my head, I was acting like I didn't know anybody at any nursing home. I do know my contractors. And what I said there at the end, if you think of anyone that you might need help from, you just let us know. If they call me and say, hey, do you know a guy that changes oil in Gravely lawnmowers? I don't, but I'll know by the end of the day. I'll say, yeah, you know what, let me get back to you. I'm not at my desk right now. And then I'll go to work and I'll find the best person for that position. And I'll do it through my sphere of influence. I'll talk to my broker. I'll talk to other agents in my office. I'll talk to title companies. I'll go drive around and talk to people at nursing homes. But if I know that I can help somebody and I can earn that business, then I'm going to go do it. I didn't have to spend 1,000 hours getting that set up and first. So maybe the best thing for you, because you seem a little overwhelmed, is wait until you need those people. And urgency is a great motivator. So when you need to know somebody in a nursing home, you'll know somebody in a nursing home. When you need to find a contractor, you'll be up at the crack of dawn with a box of coffee on the hood of your car. But don't let it stifle you. Don't not do anything because you don't have all those positions filled.
The lead generation service, that was your company, correct?
For probate leads?
Yes, that's you guys, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, do I call your office to set up an account, or is there a different person we talk to, or?
Yeah. So you want to talk to Jim? The main number.
He's
on
the
our
gentleman
website,
in Florida, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I see. Okay. I kind of lost track of who he was. What's his telephone number again?
Let me see. The main line is I should know that, but it's 844-532-3369, and it's extension 2 is how you get to Jim.
Just real quick, I was reading somewhere that the same sort of process, except people who are is what the system we're talking about, intestate leads or testate leads also?
Both.
Or both.
So that statistically 65% of people who pass away will have a will, and
Right.
45% won't. So 45% of them are going to be intestate.
And that's what you guys specialize in intestate.
Nope, we specialize in probate, which is
Probate.
can be anything. It doesn't
It can be
matter if there's a will.
It can be either one. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
So
I'll call Jim, and I'll just keep. I'll check to see if that certificate was sent. So, never know.
Okay.
Somebody might ask
and
for one.
You go back through the probate mastery recordings, like session 1 and 2.
Okay.
Would be really helpful to you.
You got it. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, guys. Phone number ending in 2817. The hot seat is yours.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, I have a comment and I have a question. I have a comment about what the gentleman was talking about earlier, and you did mention about long-term care. This was someone that I helped, and it's just a comment, and it was 2 sisters, and the mom actually ended up in rehab and then eventually had to go into long-term care, but it was noticed like a year ahead because you have to take care of the property really early, or it goes to the federal government for either Medicare or Medicaid or whatever, because the actual price for long-term care at any just a nursing home, when you go into the government system, is like, and just in general, it's $9,000 a month. So unless you have, most people don't have the funds to actually pay for that. So on average, it's between $9,000 and $12,000 a month. Just if you don't know that, that's what it is right now. So and it's
so that's why when the last caller was saying that they were going to pay out of pocket, that's why I pressed them on it.
That's
and
usually not the case. But you do have to get the property out of that person's name. So they did a quick claim deed to move it to the daughters, and then they sold it. So if you wait,
you
if
found
you wait
the loophole.
until the end, when the person is like in the process, it goes back more than a year. You can't have the property sold; they'll still get the money from you. So you have to watch
for everybody
that.
listening, if you haven't done one of these, so what she's talking about is a loophole. So you can actually quit claim a deed or gift deed.
Yeah, to the kids.
To the
they
family.
have to work together.
You still have 90 days.
If
so
it's one kid, then fine. But two, normally they work together because they understand, and you have to be really, if the person is still in rehab and it's like maybe the second time around, you need to start thinking about that. And once they go into long-term care, you can't just go and sell the property. They go back months. So it's almost
what they do.
Like a year.
What Medicare does is they require the real estate agent to list the home at the tax-assessed value. And in some markets and in a lot of cases,
but they still take the
profit.
They even come back for you a year,
Okay.
Going back a year. They'll go back and try to recoup that money.
Yeah.
So you can't just sell it that, now they're in long-term care. They're applying to get into, I think it's Medicare or whatever, so they pay the $9,000 a month. You can't do it then. It's too late. They're going to take all of the money, the property, and life insurance in some states and everything. And that's from first.
So that's the takeaway here, guys. Ask good questions. If you want to know how to really help people, always
that's all. I just want to let him. Most people cannot afford that, even if you have $200,000. A couple of years of that, and you just went through all of that. And so that's one option. The second thing is if we have a family that it was a brother and a sister. The sister took care of the brother for like the last 10 years. Maintenance the property, did a lot of things for him, and they signed a power of attorney without a notary. Now he is mentally a little different, so they're trying to backtrack, but he has kids. So the sister did all that work, and he wanted her to be in charge of the property, so they're trying to sell it. Is there anything other than this conservatorship, which is going to take a while? Do you have any suggestions?
I don't know. That one would be. You definitely want an attorney to ultimately be the person who answers that question.
Okay, that's who they're working with.
If they sign the
contract,
contract,
helped us last time. That worked out for the last deal we had. But okay, I'm in Alabama.
Yes, I would definitely, speak with one of your attorneys about. I mean, what if it is in fact if it's not a valid power of attorney or medical power of attorney, whatever they sign, then you go to state law, and whoever's next in line for guardianship in the event of someone doesn't have the mental capacity, then state law is going to dictate who is actually in charge of that estate when he. So anyways,
Right.
Talk to an attorney and get their opinion and see.
Okay, that's what they're working on. I thought maybe you guys had some tricks or something. But okay, thank you.
For that. All right. Well, guys, that is everybody right now. If nobody else has any questions. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for 282, and I think I have one more. I cleared the queue, and I think this is a new person. So 2812, you are live.
Hey, Chad, it's Bud up here in Omaha. I'm not that new. But anyway,
hey, Bud.
One quick question. You were talking about the contractor thing. Everybody you're taking to the game or promoting in front of a PR or an attorney has to have workman's comp insurance, don't they?
What we ask for is, we want to see $1 million blanket liability policy, like just a business policy. I actually don't. I don't have the workers' comp policies for my contractors, but they are W-2 employees, so I assume that they have to have those. But I just ask for what a lender would typically ask for. So their state license and then their insurance policy. And actually, my contractors have me set up as additional insured. So every time their insurance policy renews, I get that additional insured policy. So I'll get a letter in the mail saying that Stone River Contracting is insured for $1 million for this period, and you only have to set that up once. If they name you as the additional insured on the policy, then every time something changes with their policy, you'll get. It's not the same document that they get, but it's a proof of insurance.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just
comp. I haven't gotten.
You haven't done it. Well, I've always worried about the clean-out crews. Anybody with a credit card that can rent a dumpster thinks they're a clean-out crew, and I always worried about somebody falling down a stairway with a washer and dryer on their back and coming after the estate and coming after the attorney and me. So I've been asking for it, and it's hard to find, but I think I found a couple out of 20 that have it. Anyway, I was just wondering if you were doing that.
Can't be too safe there.
Anyway, thanks, Chad.
Okay, thanks, bud. Anybody else, if you have anything you want to role play? If not, we'll wrap up. If you can press *6, wait a moment, and then press 1. And if we don't have anybody else, then we will wrap up for the day. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for coming to the role play call. Between now and next month, if there's anything that comes up, remember, you can jump into All the Leads Mastermind, our Facebook group, and we've got over 1,000 people in there now. So if you need a role play partner, find somebody in there that's kind of at the same level you are. Okay, we've got someone else in the queue. So 0111, good phone number. You're in the hot seat.
Hi, how are you? This is Ricky. I just joined, I believe, a couple of days ago.
Okay.
The question is, the woman from Alabama, what was she talking about? Because she didn't let you speak, so I couldn't understand anything she was saying.
So she was talking about
the loophole.
When somebody's transitioning. So if you wait until somebody has to go into long-term care, like if they need to go to a nursing home today, then Medicare, and if they don't have assets, the nursing home is going to look at their assets and say, okay, they can't afford this, we'll apply for Medicare, and then Medicare basically, takes ownership of the house and dictates how it's sold. And what they require is that you list the home at tax assessed value for 12 months, a minimum for at least 12 months, and then you can start adjusting the price. if you have a home that's got a lot of deferred maintenance, or it's in a, you know, kind of a turned neighborhood, it can be really challenging. So there's homes here in Roanoke that I know of that, you know, it's at best you're going to sell that house for $50,000, but they make the real estate agent list it at 85, and you have to hold it there for a year until finally after a year, then they'll apply a little bit of logic. So what families do is, you know, they will quit claim properties or gift deed properties over to family members for a certain amount of time. You know, so let's say if you knew mom and dad were probably within a year or so of going to a nursing home, they could quit claim their asset, you know, the real estate over. And then when, you know, if they're 12 months away from that quit claim and someone reviews their assets, it's basically that, you know, you don't have to sell the asset in order to qualify for the assistance.
So how long in advance do you have to do that? Did you say?
I think it needs to be 12 months. So, you know,
gotcha. Understood.
It's a loophole, but it's designed where, you know, if you find out you have to go to a nursing home next week, you can't just go give your house away. But for people who plan in advance, it can be you can really save a lot of money and sometimes, you know, save the family farm.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for your question. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks. We'll be up on Facebook in a bit and be in the subscriber portal and the conference call archive. Thanks a lot and have a great day, guys.